Llanharry is a village located near Bridgend in the county of Rhondda Cynon Taf in the southeast of Wales, United Kingdom. Llanharry has a deep-rooted historical connection with iron mining, dating back to Roman times. At one point during the 20th century, it proudly hosted Wales's sole iron mine. However, Llanharry gained notoriety due to the tragic murders of Harry and Meghan Toos, which, to this day, stands as one of the most infamous murder cases in Welsh history. On the morning of Monday, July 26, 1993, husband and wife Harry and Meghan Toos, aged 64 and 67 respectively, departed from their cottage on T. Ariwan Farm, located in the village of Llanharry. They embarked on their routine trip to a Tesco supermarket in the nearby Talbot Green in Llantrisant to purchase their weekly groceries, where they ran into Harry's sister, who later stated he seemed completely normal. They then planned to make a brief stop to collect their pensions on the return journey home. On a daily basis, Harry and Meghan's daughter, Cheryl, would telephone her parents in the evenings, specifically during the advert break during an episode of the television soap Coronation Street. Concerned that neither her mother nor father responded to her call then or an earlier call she had made, she contacted the couple's neighbour, Owen Hopkins, whose phone number she possessed in case of emergency. Owen agreed to go to the farm and check on Harry and Meghan. In an interview on BBC Radio Wales's The Murder Files, Harry and Meghan Toos in 2021, Owen said, quote, "It was quiet. We went round and knocked the door and the door was locked, so we shouted and called for Harry." He further stated, quote, "I went to the shed. There was nobody about in the yard. I thought maybe he'd fallen over or something." Cheryl received a call back from Owen, who told her that her parents were nowhere to be seen and suggested that they should contact the police. Cheryl told Owen that her fiancé, Jonathan Jones, would be travelling to Llanharry from his and Cheryl's home in Orpington in Kent, England, which was over 200 miles away. Cheryl decided to remain at home in Kent, sitting by the phone anxiously awaiting news of her parents. The police were subsequently informed of Harry and Meghan's apparent vanishing at approximately midnight. Owen remembered that an officer arrived promptly and conducted basic searches of the premises, including knocking on the doors and windows of the cottage and calling out the couple's names, yet receiving no reply. Additional officers and a dog handler arrived, and Owen was requested to accompany the dog handler to search the surrounding fields. Upon his return to the cottage, Owen noticed it was unlocked, and upon entering the hallway, he could discern sounds emanating from upstairs. An officer informed him that it was Cheryl's fiancé, Jonathan Jones. He recalled Jonathan descending from the stairs, exchanging greetings, and then Jonathan proceeded to enter the living room. In the early hours of Tuesday, the 27th of July 1993, a grisly discovery was made. The bodies of Meghan and Harry were found dead in the farm's cowshed, wrapped in carpet and obscured from view beneath a pile of hay bales. Both had been shot, execution style, in the back of the head, at a distance estimated to have been approximately 3 feet away. There was no evidence to suggest that they had perished in the cowshed and had been moved there after they were killed. A witness reported seeing Harry and Meghan returning home from their visit to Tesco at 11 a.m. on July 26th. Another witness told investigators that they heard 2 gunshots at around 1:30 p.m. on the afternoon of July 26th. However, they had ignored them, believing it to be the case that Harry was out hunting rabbits, which he did regularly. With this witness statement, the police were able to narrow the time frame in which the couple were murdered. In the farmhouse, the dining table was elegantly arranged for lunch, adorned with the couple's finest china. Notably, a teacup was carefully placed on the table, a practice reserved exclusively for esteemed guests, as investigators later discovered. Evidence suggested that the couple had refrained from using the teacup as Meghan's preferred mug was found nearby, while Harry's mug also sat on the table. This strongly suggested the presence of a visitor at the farm during lunchtime. The tableware set out was reserved for special occasions, and it was no part of the everyday usage. Despite the meal being prepared and cooked on the stove, it remained untouched. A shirt had been laid out for Harry upstairs, further fueling the theory that the couple were expecting a guest. Intriguingly, there were no indications of a robbery having taken place. According to reports, the possibility of murder-suicide was swiftly dismissed upon the discovery of drag marks, believed to have been created by a body leading from the vicinity of the farmhouse to the cowshed. Through meticulous forensic and ballistics analysis, it was determined that Harry had been shot just inside the cowshed door. Subsequently, his body was placed in a trough and concealed beneath layers of hay and tarpaulin sheets to obscure it from view. Meghan, on the other hand, had been shot on the opposite side of the farmhouse, potentially near the kitchen corner, suggesting she might have been attempting to flee. Her body was then relocated to the cowshed and covered with a carpet. Turning their attention to the murder weapon, it was determined that Harry and Meghan were likely killed by a double-barreled 12-bore shotgun, utilised with number 7 shots. However, despite their best efforts, investigators were unable to find any cartridges which may have been left behind by the killer. However, in 2003, examinations were underway on the barrels of a shotgun, cartridges, and a fishing bag found by a member of the public in an abandoned quarry close to the secluded farmhouse where the couple resided. Curiously, number 7 shots were not a type that Harry ever used, and strangely, a year prior to the murders, a shotgun belonging to Harry mysteriously disappeared. This specific shotgun was never recovered, and police could not say whether that particular weapon was used in the murders. Forensic examination of the cowshed pointed towards the likelihood that the perpetrator would have been covered in blood and bodily tissue, yet no traces of blood were discovered elsewhere on the farm. Furthermore, Harry's body exhibited noticeable hypostasis on the side opposite to where he was discovered, indicating that he had been repositioned approximately 3 to 4 hours post-mortem. In contrast to this, Meghan's body displayed hypostasis to a lesser extent, implying the possibility that her death occurred quite some time after Harry's. Theories indicating a professional hit or a robbery were quickly dismissed by investigators. There was no evidence of thievery, and ballistics experts did not believe the professional hit theory to be likely. On September 28, 1993, which marked 2 months following the tragic events, a reenactment and plea for information aired on the BBC's Crimewatch programme. The appeal specifically targeted the unidentified visitor to the farmhouse, urging them to step forward and clear their involvement. Regrettably, despite the broadcast, the individual never came forward. The appeal sadly didn't bring the breakthrough police were hoping for. Initially, a motive for the double murder could not be established. However, investigators then turned their attention to Jonathan Jones, the boyfriend and reported fiancé of Harry and Meghan's daughter, Cheryl. Cheryl was at work at the time of the murders, which solidified her alibi. Digging into Jonathan's private life, it was found that he was experiencing financial difficulties, although he made the decision not to disclose that information to Cheryl. Investigators suspected that Jonathan had a motive for the murders due to Harry and Meghan's £150,000 life insurance policy. Additionally, there was evidence indicating that shortly before the tragic events, Harry and Meghan had consulted a solicitor regarding a disputed will. Moreover, Jonathan was aware that Cheryl was the sole heir to her parents' estate. Jonathan claimed to have taken the day of the murders off to scout new office locations for his marketing business in Orpington, meeting with several estate agents. Despite police inquiries in Orpington, no witnesses were found to corroborate his alibi, and estate agents interviewed reported no interactions with him on that day. Jonathan later admitted that he had lied. Police noticed a peculiar response from Jonathan upon being informed of the murders. Their suspicions heightened due to the unusually extended duration of Jonathan's journey from Orpington to Llanharry, which exceeded the expected timeframe. This led authorities to believe that Jonathan might have disposed of evidence while on the drive. Crime and Investigation's Murder Town podcast stated that numerous witnesses alerted the police about a man spotted walking along a road near the Tews farm in late June of 1993. This individual was described as wearing a beige trench coat and dark sunglasses while carrying a bag, deliberately concealing his face from passing motorists. Subsequently, one of these witnesses contacted the authorities again, asserting that she recognised them as Jonathan Jones, being the person that she had previously seen. Jonathan later admitted to being in the area, asserting that he had joined Harry in baling hay after hitchhiking to Pontypridd. Interestingly, Jonathan owned a trench coat matching the description provided by witnesses, and several acquaintances attested to seeing him wear it. However, both Jonathan and Cheryl denied that he owned such a coat. The police began to entertain the notion that Jonathan might have been responsible for taking Harry's shotgun prior to the murders. Further suspicion fell on Jonathan Jones when he denied ever having used a particular teacup, despite his fingerprint being found on it. Cheryl also denied that he had used the teacup. The teacup fingerprint allegedly places Jonathan at the cottage during the time of the murders. Jonathan's fingerprints were also found on other items in the cottage, with all other fingerprints confirmed to have belonged to just Harry and Meghan. With their suspicions of Jonathan and with Cheryl's lack of cooperation in answering questions, police arrested and charged Jonathan Jones with the double murder of Harry and Meghan Tews in December 1993. The case went to trial in 1995 at Newport Crown Court, where the main theory of what happened that day was explored. The police proposed a theory suggesting that Jonathan, motivated by greed, had travelled by train from Orpington to Pontypridd that morning. Upon arrival, he allegedly surprised Harry and Meghan while they were preparing lunch, prompting them to set out the fine china and brew tea, possibly assuming he was visiting to seek their blessing for marrying their daughter. Following the murders, he would have returned via train, reaching his flat by 7:30 p.m, consistent with his reported whereabouts. It took the jury just a few hours to reach a verdict. Jonathan Jones was found guilty of the murders. Despite this, Cheryl rejected the verdict and stood by Jonathan, which resulted in family relationships breaking down and being severed. Meghan's sister told the media, quote, "Why can't she let her parents rest in peace? I sat through every day of the trial, and I'm happy that Jonathan is where he should be. Cheryl has been totally blinded by the man." Following appeals, after a year of imprisonment, on the 25th of April 1996, Jonathan Jones was acquitted, and outside the courtroom, he and Cheryl shared a lengthy embrace, followed by a public kiss for the gathered media. Cheryl boldly proclaimed the release of her partner, acquitted of her parents' murder, as, quote, "a victory for love and truth." Following the successful appeal, Cheryl and Jonathan tied the knot. However, Jonathan did not receive compensation for his time in prison, as there was insufficient evidence proving his innocence. He later expressed that the conviction had profoundly destabilised his life, mentioning that the stress had negatively impacted the health of Cheryl. During her pregnancy, she experienced cartilage loss, a condition from which she never fully recovered, resulting in difficulties walking unaided and partial deafness. In 2000, with the murders of Harry and Meghan Toos still unresolved, 2 case reviews were conducted, but their findings were not made public to avoid influencing any potential future trial. On the 10th anniversary of the murders in 2003, police disclosed receiving an anonymous letter in November 2002 urging the writer to come forward, believing the letter to be authentic. Despite efforts, the sender's identity remains unknown. Additional shotgun-related evidence, including cartridges and barrels, was discovered in various locations. Forensic analysis and witness statements were revisited, leading to new leads. However, by 2008, South Wales Police announced the exhaustion of all leads, and the investigation was scaled down, with detectives no longer linking the recently found gun-related items to the crime. In 2021, the case was linked to bullseye killer John Cooper. Collaborating with South Wales Police in an effort to solve the case is esteemed forensic scientist Dr. Angela Gallop, who played a pivotal role in solving the Pembrokeshire murders and the murders of Lynette White and Damilola Taylor. On the 30th anniversary of the murders, on the 26th of July 2023, South Wales Police announced that they had initiated a forensic reassessment of the case, which remains unsolved.